All right, let's talk about something that's on a lot of our minds these days. We're going to tackle a very modern problem. How do you stay grounded when our online world feels more and more, well, synthetic? Have you ever been scrolling through your feed and just paused? You get that little sinking feeling, right? A moment of doubt where a video just seems a little too perfect, or maybe a photo feels slightly off. With the explosion of generative AI, this isn't just some fleeting thought anymore. This constant questioning is kind of becoming the new normal, and it comes at a cost. Believe it or not, there's actually a clinical term for this feeling. It's called ontological vertigo. And it's a perfect name for it, isn't it? It's that dizzying state of disorientation where you feel like you just can't trust anything you see online. And it makes you want to second guess and verify every single little thing. And wow, is that mentally exhausting? And that exhaustion, it has a very real cost. This constant state of distrust doesn't just wear us down, it fundamentally changes how we interact with information. And maybe more importantly, how we interact with each other. This constant need to play detective leads to what experts are calling verification fatigue. Just imagine having to fact-check every conversation, every image, every single day. The mental energy that takes is just enormous, and let's be honest, it's completely unsustainable. So this brings up a really fascinating distinction. You see, in cybersecurity, a zero-trust mindset, trust nothing, verify everything, is an absolutely brilliant strategy for protecting systems. It's vital. But what happens when we apply that same logic to our friends, our family, our colleagues? Well, it becomes maladaptive. It just erodes relationships and starts to foster paranoia. Okay, so if we can't just doubt everything, what's the alternative? How do we navigate this new landscape without totally losing our minds? Well, thankfully, there's a structured approach we can learn. And this brings us to a really practical mental toolkit. It's called the EGRT framework. That stands for epistemic grounding and reality testing, and it's designed specifically to combat that feeling of ontological vertigo. The framework is built around three core therapeutic mechanisms. Think of them as three practical tools you can actually use to find your footing in this crazy world of deepfakes and AI. So, what are they? The three tools are sensory primacy training, trust wager exercises, and cognitive reframing. Let's walk through exactly how each one of these works. First up is sensory primacy training. Now, this is all about relearning what kind of evidence you should prioritize in your own mind. This whole tool really hinges on the difference between two types of evidence. On one hand, you have distal evidence. That's everything that comes through a screen. The photos, articles, and videos on your phone. But then you have proximal evidence. And that's what you experience directly with your own senses, what you can physically see, touch, and hear right there in front of you. The core idea here is so simple, but it's really powerful. It's about making a conscious effort to give more weight to your direct, physical experiences, your proximal evidence, over all that secondhand information you're getting from a screen. It's really about grounding yourself in your immediate physical reality. So once you start regrounding yourself in the physical world, the next step has to address the human element. And this is where trust wagers come in. This tool is designed to actively break that cycle of paranoia. Now, it's not about blind trust, not at all. It's about making small, calculated wagers on trust in your day-to-day life. So, for example, maybe it's trusting a colleague to handle a small task without checking up on them constantly. These little acts gradually rebuild your confidence in other people. And that brings us to our third and final tool, which honestly might be the most powerful one of all. It's all about shifting your entire mindset. This tool is about a huge mental shift. That feeling of ontological vertigo pushes us to seek absolute certainty. We need to know, is this 100% real or 100% fake? Cognitive reframing teaches us to move away from that impossible standard, and instead to embrace what's called provisional truth. This just means learning to be comfortable acting on information that is good enough for now without needing absolute proof in every single instance. So when you combine these three tools, prioritizing your senses, making those calculated trust wagers, and reframing your mindset, you start working towards a really powerful therapeutic goal. And that goal is to build a strong epistemic core. Think of this like your internal anchor or your own personal compass. It's a stable, personal sense of what's real that doesn't need constant validation from the outside world. It becomes your default setting, your home base for reality.
Ultimately, the entire purpose of this whole framework is to reduce that incredible mental burden of being on high alert all the time. Building that epistemic core frees up your mental energy, and it allows you to engage with the world, both online and off, with a lot more confidence and a lot less anxiety.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. As our world becomes more and more synthetic, we all need to consciously decide what we're going to use as our anchor. What's going to keep you grounded?